Hello and welcome to the UIM E1 World Championship presented by PIF. We are at round 3 of the all-electric powerboat racing series, and this weekend, what a backdrop. Glorious city of Dubrovnik in Croatia playing host to us this weekend, and our 9 teams are all ready to begin their quest at the E1 Dubrovnik GP 2025 presented by Adriatic Luxury Hotels as we begin the process of qualifying here today. There is the Old City UNESCO World Heritage Site, and our course, Shelley, just to the outskirts of that harbour, and from the top it looks fairly simple.
It looks simple, and what we're looking at there, the blue line, is the actual course. We then have a long lap and a short lap, and as we know in E1, that completely changes the game.
Yeah, of course, they won't be used today during qualifying for the time trials. But what we've heard from some of the pilots down there, it's the water conditions are pretty tricky.
Yes, choppy and tricky was the way Sarah Mizer put it. She said it's extremely hot out there as well, which isn't helping the pilots that much. Even a GoPro's overheated this morning.
Yeah, look at the stunning backdrop that we've got here this weekend. Any Game of Thrones fans only too familiar, I'm sure, with the site of King's Landing, but these beautiful, crystal clear, turquoise blue waters of the Adriatic are playing host for the very first time to the E1 series. A little light breeze just breaking through at the moment. We heard down before, not too heavy, is it, the breeze?
No, and unlike some of our other venues, that they're all predicting that the wind will drop in the afternoon and get better here. The conditions look very calm and very sort of like, you know, a beautiful surface there at the moment, but actually it's a lot trickier than it is. And as you can see, the pleasure boat, the ferry coming out of the harbour there, and there's another one behind him, they are creating some pretty turbulent waters for them. There is a speed limit, but the speed limit's quite high. It's actually 12 knots, so you get a good old wash from the back of those ferries, which has been playing havoc with our race birds this morning.
This is round 3 of the season of 7 on the schedule that we've got for 2025, and it's Team Rafa who sit top of the standings. They had a dominant weekend on the water in Qatar. They took maximum points, the first time anyone has done that in the E1 World Championship. Just 3 points though, the advantage over Aoki Racing, who scored another podium last time out in Doha, and so they're the 2 teams who have pushed things on at the start. Chris Lasaraga and Tom Shap are the duo in Team Rafa, and it's Aoki Racing, Danny Kloss and Michelle Alobaidan, who won the opening round of the championship in Jeddah. It seems a while ago now, doesn't it, Shelley, that we had those 2 opening rounds in the Gulf, in Jeddah and in Doha?
It seems forever, and I think all of us are sort of trying to all get back in the zone, including the drivers, including the pilots of the E1 race birds. Obviously, they had a long journey from the Middle East over to Dubrovnik.
Yeah, this is the launch zone, which is just next to those old city walls. What a perfect spot for it. Actually, mission control is over by the Hotel Excelsior, so it's actually the other side, really, of this little bay. There's a beach in between them, so it just makes things, you know, you've got to be well prepped, well ready for yourselves when you get down into the launch zone. There's Timmy Hansen, Marit Strommoy alongside. I wonder who it's going to be going out first of all for them. We have had a slight delay to proceedings to them getting out for this free practice session, but that's Team Brazil. They've actually had a tough start to the year so far, Team Brazil. They sit at 9th and in the last place in the standings. They've been a bit unfortunate though, haven't they, both Timmy and Marit?
Yes, it's a shame because we've got some excellent pilots there. Both of them are very qualified. Marit Strommoy herself is an F1 powerboat champion, and Timmy obviously comes from the world of rallycross, so they're used to winning. So I think they're going to want to make some waves this weekend.
like what you've done there. Shirley, already getting the puns in. It's just coming up to just past 1 p.m. local time in Croatia, and Shelley's already on fire at the start of the day. Look at that beautiful city in the background, all narrow cobblestone streets all up in the hillsides up there. It's a lovely place. I'm so pleased that E1 has been able to come here and just sample a little bit of this Adriatic coast. It is so stunning, and hopefully we'll be getting the boats out on the water. The race birds all ready to go. And we are just having a look down into the launch zone. I hope that soon we might be able to hear from someone down at the launch zone. As you can see, everyone's got their umbrellas out, trying to keep those cockpits as cool as possible. If you look at the far end, you might be able to see Team Brazil, and hopefully we'll be able to hear from Taylor Snyder down there with Marit Strommoy.
Made my way down to the launch zone, and I found Team Brazil down here. Marit, I know that you have a teammate who has some experience out on the water here. This is obviously it's everyone's first time in Croatia. What is the vibe like out there?
It's super nice place. There's a lot of boats moving on the race course, so the conditions are quite tricky. But we just have to try and do our best all the time.
What have you learned so far from your teammate as well as your entire team behind you?
Well, the thing is here that because of the conditions, you have to tackle the waves that comes from the different boats. So it's difficult, but we just have to get on top of it.
Yeah, and Timmy, you've joined us. Thank you for joining us down here in the launch zone. Backing off racing really quick, you guys have been having some fun around the city. I saw some fun videos you've been doing around the city with content.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do it again. I have to watch on Instagram, I guess.
But it's been fun getting to a new city, a new group of fans here. What is it like in Croatia?
It's incredible here. It's full of tourists. Obviously, it's a beautiful city here. Game of Thrones was recorded here. And we got a lot of people walking through the paddock, discovering what boat racing is. It's the first time they're seeing racing boats, and never mind, electric foiling boats. So yeah, I've had so many questions from people, and it's kind of full on all these piers around. You see people standing around and watching E1, which is great. It's cool to see the sport growing.
Absolutely. And speaking of the sport growing, you guys are constantly adding new fans along with new drivers and new teams. How does it feel when you bring new people in? Is it exciting to have new competition?
Yeah, this sport is so unique. So there's nothing quite like this. And whatever background you come from, you try and implement that in the best way you can. But there is also a ton of new things to learn about this race bird and about this type of racing. So yeah, we're still learning. Here it's very wavy, and we're going to have to find new ways of how to tackle the waves come qualifying now in any minute.
Excellent. Well, best of luck out there during qualifying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, they'll be heading out shortly. Thanks to Taylor down there. Good to hear. Yeah, get to at E1 Team Brazil on Instagram, or at Timmy _Hansen. I'm not sure he and Catie Munnings, who have been teammates previously in Extreme E, I will say, been having a little bit of pranking going on down there, so make sure you go and check that out on Instagram, keeping themselves busy in the beautiful backdrop of Croatia. There's Chris Lasaraga, who has been excellent so far this year, and in particular in the final when we were in Doha. She pulled it out of the hat, didn't she, to take victory and take Team Rafa's first win in their E1 history.
Yeah, they are actually storming at the moment. They are leading the championship and doing a grand job, and it was just so lovely to see Team Rafa's, they're just excitement and just their love and passion for the sport was so exuberant.
Yeah, no, Rafa Nadal was proud to see that as well, see his team performing. There is Christina, she was on song. Looks like she's about to make her way into the boats. So as Christina makes her way into her race bird for Team Rafa, hoping we might be able to hear from her teammates as she gears up. She's got all the hands device on there, all prepped. Shelley?
Yes, I mean, we've just mentioned the heat. I think we're up to 28 degrees C, and let's bear in mind these guys have probably got an underlayer underneath, or they've then got fireproof overalls on. They've then got a full wetsuit from shoulder down to sort of the top of their thigh, and then they've got a hands device on, then they've got a crash helmet on, and then they're put into a tiny cockpit and strapped in with the hatch closed. We are talking, you might as well get into the oven.
Yeah, it's sauna time, isn't it? Inside. Our drones flying high above this gorgeous city. What a day for it. As we get ready to go qualifying. It looks like Christina was just about to head out onto the water. She'll be joined on the water. I think it's John Peters who's going to be in for Team Blue Rising. Rusty Wyatt for Team Alula. And LeBron James's squad. Anna Glennon for Mark Anthony's Team Miami, and Danny Kloss for Steve Aoki Racing. But I think we are able to head back down to the launch zone as we go on board with Team Rafa. Just outside the boat, Taylor is speaking to her teammate Tom Shap.
Down on the launch zone here with Tom, and I see your teammate is getting in the Team Rafa boat behind me. What is the strategy kind of going into today?
I mean, the strategy is to make the fastest lap for sure. This morning in free practice was really good. The team worked super hard. I did the fastest lap this morning in the free practice, so I'm really happy about that. Now Chris will go. I trust with her in 100%. So now we will be focusing on what we have to do and pray for a good result. Yeah.
And I've spoke to a couple of your other competitors. It seems like the water is a little bit choppy. How do you face that challenge going into it?
Yeah, I think on the water now everything can change. The condition can be different between two sessions. So, I mean, we will need a bit of luck to be able to make a really good lap. Because if you get some wave, you will be lose time for sure. So, I think the strategy is to find a clear water to be able to be faster. Yeah.
And speaking apart from racing, how great is it being in here in Croatia? This is our new time on the Adriatic Sea. What are the fans like?
I'm super excited to be here. The localization is amazing. People there, I can see the race, so we really feel the atmosphere here. It's super nice, and yeah, the view, it's unbelievable to race there. Yeah.
And lastly, you guys are reigning champions, so you've got kind of that target on your back. What is it like coming back with that title holding?
Yeah, of course, to win in Jeddah and to be leading the championship at the moment, it's not nothing for sure. We are happy with that because it's the team job. They work so hard to get this result, but I mean it's a long way to go. So we have to be focusing on what we have to do, be consistent every race, get a lot of points to at the end win the championship because it's the main target what we want. Yeah.
Best of luck out there. You guys are focused.
1:11.7 was Tom's time in free practice earlier today. Christina clocked to 1:16.4, so on combined times, which is how we work it out in the qualifying time trials. Each pilot has a chance to go out onto the course. They're allowed to set 3 hot laps, and their best is then combined with their teammates' best hot lap, and on the average we work out the positions as they then decide the slots for the qualifying races. That comes up later on this afternoon. Vastly experienced John Peters down there in Virat Kohli's Team Blue Rising boat. Focus as ever. He's pulled a couple of rabbits out of the hat over the first couple of weekends, Shelley. Just when it looked like the chips were down, seems to have come up with the goods, John, when he's got in the cockpit.
He certainly does. John is really good at the starts. He seems to have them absolutely nailed, and we've really watched him just take that start, as we know is so important in the E1 Racebird.
Just a few final checks, as you can see down there for the Team Blue Rising boat, keeping that cockpit open. You see the cover as well on the front of the cockpit on the windshield there, just to try and keep it cool for as long as possible, because as soon as the canopy closes on the top of the Racebird, it will be pretty steamy. Right, let's see if we're able to catch up with John down in the Team Blue Rising boat. John, getting ready for the qualifying time trials now. How happy are you with your setup and that you've got that hot lap in you? John, as you get ready to go out for the time trials, how happy are you with your Racebird setup and that you've got that hot lap you need in you? I think we're just struggling a little bit with communication. They are just clipping in and getting themselves all set up for the session ahead. As you can see, there's what we're on about with the reflector on the front of the cockpit.
I think he was concentrating on more important things than you, Gavin.
Than you or I, trying to get the latest.
He seemed very intent in getting his setup right, his control right. He's probably speaking to mission control. Team Rafa pulling out there already. They're all ready to go. Yeah, it's quite a lot of traffic in that where the launch zone is. Not only are they contending with out on the course and making a sort of, all the ferries, a displacement on the water and everything. It's they've got the traffic in the harbour there to contend with as well. All the pleasure boats dying to go out and watch this race and get a race course view right on the edge.
So now you can see Team Rafa boat just heading out. Looks like Team Aoki behind with Danny Kloss in. Beware the dragon were the comments from Danny Kloss after they were second behind Team Rafa. Switch positions from the opener in Jeddah. There is Team Aoki's boat, but Danny Kloss has been on fine form at the start of this season so far. Let's see if we can able to speak to Danny. Danny, from back here in London, we're just wondering what conditions are like as you get ready to head out for the time trial. Are you happy with how the Racebird's set up?
Hi everyone, how are you? Everything okay? We're doing good. Nice and warm here inside the boat, I have to say. But yeah, everything ready. Everything looks okay. The track's still there. And yeah, we're boosted for this session, so wish me luck.
When you have a delay like that, Danny, how's that feel? Because it's pretty steamy already. How do you keep yourself cool when you've got to go out and set a couple of hot laps now? Anyway, we'll let Danny get on with the job at hand of heading out there for qualifying. As I say, each pilot gets a chance to set 3 hot laps in this 20-minute session, and timing's going to be crucial, Shelley, isn't it? We talked about those pleasure boats, about the ferries coming out of the harbour as well, and that's probably a bit of luck comes into play over the next 20 minutes. It's still got 6 minutes, we're being told, from timing before this session gets going, so they're going to be in that milling area a little while, and then you've got to choose your right moment. You don't want to be out on the course behind one of the other Racebirds, and a few things that you have to be selective about.
Yeah, it's a really important point, because I'm wondering how much of the course mission control can actually see. So is it going to be the pilot in the Racebird who's going to say it's clear, I can go, or can mission control actually see the course and say there's no pleasure boats, go, go, go? We heard from Catie Munnings earlier that it's literally potluck.
Yeah, in theory, that's where mission control is, up there, up on the top there in one of the hotels, so they can have a look over from that balcony. You can see as they go past. So
I think they've got a really important job to actually say there's no pleasure boats coming in, there's no ferries coming in, go, go, go. It's the calmest, sort of best conditions to get this hot lap in, but it's going to be tricky.
you can see boats line astern coming down to the milling area, and then they'll go clockwise around the milling smart mark, just next to the start-finish line. As you say, fastest lap earlier today was a 1:11. Others were out in the around the 1:20 mark as well. There were a lot going on when we watched free practice earlier today, Shelley. We saw a lot of porpoising, but you sort of feel like there was a lot of people sussing out the conditions, trying to get the best setup.
Yes, I think the pilots were literally pushing each to the limit. They were testing their lift, they were testing the trim of the engine. So the lift, they can actually move the whole engine up or down, and in the trim is where they're moving the propeller sort of in or tucking it out or in. They were literally pushing it to the limit to see how they could run the Racebird the very best in these tricky conditions. So I think that's why we saw a lot of them unstable, because they were basically learning on the job, as they say.
Yeah, and once the Racebird gets up onto its foils and begins to fly, the longer it's like that, the more unstable it gets, and that's what we've learned so far, haven't we?
Yeah, and that's what practice is all about. Every venue we go to gives you different problems. This is a very open course, as you can see there. We can have a wash coming in from a tanker, sort of, 3 miles out, rolling in. So practice is all about finding how that Racebird handles in this particular course.
This is the course there, you can see, so that's the start-finish light. They'll go up from this view from left to right across the start-finish line, and then take a left around our first set of smart marks. Then you've got another left. They head up towards that island of Loughran, then come back towards the shore. Then they've got to take the right on the left of those yellow smart marks. That's Mark C, and then they go out to the far end of the course where the boats are milling now, and that's the final corner. So it looks fairly simple, but as Shelley quite rightly said, it's the conditions that are providing the challenge for the Racebirds. As we go on with our virtual map of the Racebirds, there is Chris Lasaraga getting ready. 3 minutes still to go before the start of this session, and we won't necessarily see them go straight off at the start. We'll probably take it in turns, find the right moment. She's a jet skier by trade, although after having won the final last time out in Qatar, I'm sure E1 race winner will be at the top of her CV. But the Spaniard has been excellent at the start of the year. It's a really good team, isn't it, her and Tom Shap? It really seem to bounce off each other.
They do. They have a wonderful team relationship, and I just love listening to both of them. Both their accents are just so lovely. The French and the Spanish, it's just lovely to listen to them when we interview them.
So as you can see, all the Racebirds out in the water, just milling about at the moment, getting ready. 2 minutes or so before the start of our first qualifying time trial here. It's round 3 of the UIM E1 World Championship presented by PIF. We are at the Dubrovnik Grand Prix. Islands in the background. You see some of those bigger boats out there. All could have an effect if they come this way.
Yeah, as we can see, we've got a motorboat going right across the top of the screen there, and you can see the sort of wash behind him and how far away he is. That is all going to roll in, and of course then you've got the island, which shelters you a little bit, but it also creates a sort of backwash coming in.
Either side, yeah. So as these Racebirds get ready for the qualifying time trials, let's head back to the launch zone where Sam Coleman's team Brady is down with Taylor.
Down here with Sam Coleman in the launch zone. Team Brady is getting ready to go out, not in this section, but the next. And we were just chatting about conditions. Conditions are everything. You guys are now in the 5-boat group there. What is that going to be like?
It makes it a little bit more challenging trying to find some clear water. We've got a lot of boat traffic out of a busy and beautiful harbour here, so trying to find a bit of clear water for a clean lap is already key, and then if there's an extra boat in the session, it's going to make it a bit more challenging. But I've got faith in my team. We'll find some clear water and hopefully put in a couple of strong laps.
Any other secret strategies you're ready to share with me yet?
No. We've only just met, so the secrets will have to wait a little bit.
Excellent. Well, best of luck out there.
Thank you very much.
He's always too cool for school, isn't he, Sam Coleman? Reigning champions, of course, of E1. Team Brady, they won the title last year. Currently sit 5th in the standings after 2 5th places in the opening 2 rounds. So things haven't quite gone all their way. I wonder if they can turn it around this weekend. But they're not featuring Tom Brady's squad in this first time trial. It's Team Blue Rising for Virat Kohli, Rafa Nadal's team, Mark Anthony's team Miami, LeBron James' team Ola, and Virat Kohli's team Blue Rising. And it looks like we are go. The clock is ticking, and it's going to be Danny Kloss for Aoki Racing. And that looked like a lovely start there for Danny Kloss. He came across the line just on the boost, no doubt, to get him down to this first corner. And then we will see him straight away tuck that left wing in the water to get him turned as they head out to Lochran Island.
Yes, as you said, there he is on the boost, off the boost now, coming down. We've got good trim. He seems very stable. They seem to have, they certainly did their practice right and got it set up nicely.
Yeah, it looked good earlier today, Danny, during the free practice session. He himself was the second fastest runner out there, as a little jump as he heads down towards the right-hander.
Certainly is rougher conditions than we saw in Doha, Gavin. They are really fighting to keep that flying on the foils.
Yeah, quite sheltered, wasn't it, when we were in the Pearl in Doha in Qatar, and so it was lovely out there. But I remember when we were in Jeddah for the opener, there was some bit more wind, wasn't there, that created a bit of chop. There you can see the line that he'll be following, Danny, out of the final corner. Looks like a competitive start, this one, though. On the boost, out of the final corner, and clocks a 1:14. That is a really solid start to the session.
That's the fastest lap we've seen all day, I think, in all the practice sessions, was it?
There were a couple quicker than that, but it is right up there. Super competitive. I think there's been only a couple have been quicker, though. Sam Coleman and Tom Shap, who did that 1:11 earlier today. Out on the water, though, Team Blue Rising and John Peters, like heading out towards that huge boat that's out there as he's about to hit this left-hander. As I say, he's come up with the goods in crunch moments at the start of this season. John Peters, vastly experienced, and that's a lovely bit of cornering. And gets on the boost to pull him out of the corner. And is that going to be able to drag to the line? It looked clean enough coming through there. Maybe a little bit slower. Yeah, 1:15.5 from John Peters. Anna Clennon chose perhaps the wrong moment there because she was in the wake of the Blue Rising boat.
You've just said it, Gavin. Why are you doing a hot lap right in the rough water behind Team Blue Rising? She's, yeah, and it shows. Was it a 1:24 there? Yeah,
1:27.5 in the end for Anna, so maybe that one she'll not want to chalk off. I wonder if John, is he going again here, going straight off rather than pulling off? It looks like it.
I always think that's the best thing to do, because basically the first lap is a sort of your set-up lap, get used to it.
No, he's aborted this one, so he's heading back towards the milling zone now, by the looks of things. And I'm sure Anna Glennon will be doing the same. She'll be wanting 2 laps in the wake. Right, here we go. Rusty Wyatt, vastly experienced powerboater himself from the F1 world, heading towards the first smart mark in LeBron James's Team Alula Racebird. That's at the bottom of your screen. Everyone else top of your screen, as you can see, are in the milling zone, so we'll keep an eye on this first sector.
He's picked a good one. The course is completely clear, so nicely chosen there for Team Alula.
We're out towards the second corner, coming back round. These are live shots now. Still 60 minutes. That first sector, not quite as quick as John Peters, who had the fastest first sector so far. There's Catie Munnings, his teammate, watching on from the launch. A little bit of a launch there for Rusty. That looks unstable, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're scrubbing all speed off there. That's it's not what we want to see. We want to be up on the foils, flying with the least amount of surface touching the water, because that clearly straight away scrubs speed off.
So here he comes to the line now for Rusty. And he goes up into third, but as you see, 7 seconds down, a 1:21.5 for Rusty Wyatt. Did a 1:17 earlier, so there is more margin in there, I would say, for the Canadian-American. So that's him heading up, and I'm sure he won't necessarily go again. We'll go back towards the milling area now. Are we about to see Chris Lasaraga do her first lap? Yes, I think we are. Here we go then. Championship leader. Strange sound, I think we're hearing from Chris on her team radio there. She's going to go for it anyway, but that's a slight concern.
Yes, is that a strange sound from the engine or a strange sound from her? Can't quite hear what but something isn't quite right in her cockpit there.
So team radio are saying to her not to worry about it, just crack on. Easier said than done, isn't it? Lovely to hear that from mission control when you're inside the race, burn out on the water.
That's what my engineer used to say to me, just go and race it and break it, I'll mend it later.
Yeah, of course, they don't want anything major happening. It looked like another boat in the distance as well. Team Miami, Anna Glennon going against. She's chosen a better time to get to the line on this occasion. What's Christina done on this one? Good second sector, actually, from Chris. Her first sector wasn't the greatest. A couple of seconds off the fastest first sector, but second sector much improved. All depends as well where you're using your boost, and that's a critical part. You've got 20 seconds that you're able to use around the lap, but you've got to choose the right moment.
She's a little bit wobbly there and unstable. I can see why she's questioning, but how did she do?
She did really well, up into third place, less than 2 seconds behind Danny Kloss's Aoki Racing Racebird. So,
and that was with problems.
Yeah, and it didn't look the cleanest necessarily. It looked a little bit unsteady out of the final corner. Right, what's Anna Glennon doing here? 5 seconds off halfway round for Team Miami.
That's not good.
And she's coming through. She'll only have one more hot lap after this, I would surmise. Temperature out on the water is nearly 28 degrees Celsius, but you put yourself then in one of these cockpits, sun beating down. She picked up well actually in the second half of this lap, I think, Anna Glennon. She comes towards the line now. Yeah, she's going to slot in, still in 5th place, but a better lap on this occasion. Wasn't happy at all the last time out when we were in Doha. A couple of problems for Mark Antony's squad there. Absolute focus from Jet.
Where do you want the trim, Paul?
Just asking about where to set that trim for her final lap.
Copy.
So she's in contact there, Shelley, just for anyone at home who isn't aware, she's in contact with someone up at Mission Control.
Yeah, so Mission Control, they were just discussing there where to put the trim. Now they would have practiced that all this morning and figured out where the Racebird is best trimmed to fly through these conditions. So I think that's the discussion she was having there. Where did we decide this morning in practice where the best trim was? And that's the angle of the engine we're talking about there. And it's the angle of the engine can really change the performance of the Racebird.
Yeah, how it sits in the water and how it flies across the top of the water. So fastest of this session so far, Danny Kloss. Just came up there that this lap might not be counted, but he's digging in, he's going for it still. Right, yeah, we've got the running time now. So in that first sector, 1.7 off through there for Danny Kloss, but he was quicker as the lap went on. So we'll keep a close eye through the second split. Yeah, not as quick, I don't think, as his first effort here for Kloss. Does lead on a 1:14.36. Of course, a former Formula 1 driver, Formula E as well for Danny Kloss, vastly experienced on 4 wheels. He's already shown he has pace in a race bird. Winners of the opening round in Saudi Arabia in Jeddah, and a 1:17 on this occasion. John Peters is out there for Team Blue Rising, and a really good first sector actually from John Peters. We'll keep an eye on his lap. He was about a second quicker in that first sector alone than Danny Kloss, but again, we just get the times. You're never too sure about where the boost is being used. You can see Danny Kloss is about to pull off the circuit, if I'm not mistaken, as John Peters. We go on board with Peters for Team Blue Rising. Fastest moustache in E1.
It's the only moustache.
Well, you know, so he's the fastest. Speaks for itself. 1:19 on this occasion. So again, you feel like in that situation, very quick in the first sector, but maybe then used the boost, used a lot of it in that first sector, and didn't have enough for the remainder of the course.
And what we've learnt from a lot of the pilots is this: as they use the boost, as they come off the boost or the boost runs out, it does seem to throw the race bird off balance, and you've got to be ready for that. And I think part of it is watching that, grabbing it as it comes off the boost and making sure you're still balanced and you're still flying on the foils.
Rusty Wyatt out on the water. This is Christina Lasaraga, of course, not Rusty, but just, you know, Rusty is about to come through the final corner now. There he is in the Team Alula race bird. This looks like a much better effort from Team Alula on this occasion. Little drop down there, but it's going to be a much quicker time. Gone 4 seconds quicker on that lap, and a 1:17.6. That's more like it from Rusty. That's a bit more competitive from him, and that puts him within just over 3 seconds outside of Danny Kloss's 1:14.3. So 1:17.6 for Rusty Wyatt. Who's going to be our next contender here? Christina Lasaraga is ready to go. She's ignoring the strange noises that she's getting. She's up on the foils.
You've got to listen to your mission control and trust that they're watching all the screens for you. And you just have to ignore that, get your head in the zone, and
Looked like a lovely balance, this, on the run towards turn 1 for Christina.
Nice corner. That looks smooth.
Remember, these are all electric, these race birds. So any noise would be disconcerting if it wasn't water noise. See, yeah, she has done the fastest of everyone in that first sector from Christina. Oh no, fastest personal best, my apologies. But improving on her previous personal best through the second sector too. A really good sector, so she's linking them together here now. Christina Lasaraga heading towards turn 4. Powered quickly on in there.
This looks good.
Looks really good. As she comes out past the final smart mark. Up on the foil as well, looking great, heading towards the line, just dropped down just before the line, but that is the fastest of the session so far, a 1:13.1. And that's why Team Rafa lead the championship. Of Vamos coming from Christina. She knows that she's nailed that one. Excellent lap from the Spaniard. Goes a second quicker than Danny Kloss.
They are certainly the team who to beat at the moment. They are really flying the race bird. Both of them, a very, very strong team between her and Tom.
First win came for Team Rafa last time. As we head back to Team Miami, who were race winners, let's not forget. last year back in Puerto Banús, but so far this season a 6th and an 8th, even though they got the fastest lap at the opening round in Jeddah. Picked up an extra point for that as we go with Anna Glennon. Teammate Eric Stark back at the launch zone will be watching on closely, but you can see out in that first sector alone, 5 seconds off. Picked up time in second sector, that's a personal best for her through there. So has she got anything through this final sequence? This left-hander. Great shots from on board in the cockpit of the Team Miami Racebird.
Finish line is in her view there. You could see just through the cockpit what she was looking at. Oh, a little bit of porpoising out of shape there. That's a shame. That's going to scrub some speed for her.
Yeah, you could just see when you compared that to how Chris Lasaraga got it flying out of the final corner. There'll be some frustration there for Anna. So a 1:21.9 from her.
Big sigh from Anna there. She wasn't happy with that.
She's quite emotive, isn't she, as we've found already.
Passionate.
Anna. Yeah, she is.
Hugely
absolutely.
passionate.
Absolutely. Not like the team owner Mark Anthony, of course. Grammy Award-winning artist who very much is hands-on and will be welcoming the championship to Miami at the end of this season. Apologies from Anna to the team. It just hasn't quite worked out there. But you know what? We have seen people start the weekend last in qualifying and end up right at the sharp end come the end of the weekend. You can turn things around. It might just be a little setup change here or there as Rusty Wyatt sets off in the Team Alula Racebird, currently sitting in 4th place in this session. Good personal best through the first sector.
I saw the wash there, and immediately after, the Team Alula there just dipped the nose in a little bit, so he was unlucky there. He was on that unlucky lap that we all said.
So you think that's a bit of swell that's come in and he's hit?
Yeah, definitely a swell from a pleasure boat that's come in from the outside. Just unlucky that it was on his hot lap.
He's on the boost now, out of the final corner. Got a little bit of boost, so should be able to run that boost to the line if he can get it up and level on the foil. Here he comes, trying to complete it, and I tell you what, he has made all that time up there, Rusty, in the final corner. That is a couple of seconds quicker than he went early today. I don't think he can ask too much more than that, bearing in mind, you know, as we said, he'd hit that swell in the middle of his lap. I think that's a good return in the end, a 1:15.4 from Rusty Wyatt. Going to be happy with that one. Catie Munnings back on the launch zone, ready for her session. These are now the A riders, A pilots should I say, who are out in the boats. There will be a second group of the A pilots, and then it's time for the B pilots to have a go. Male and female, one in each team, and both lap times are combined. The average will decide their positions for the qualifying races later on this afternoon. Christina Lasaraga, who is fastest in this session, going again now. Can she find even more time? So she heads out to the second turn now. Just a little problem with timing, so we can't exactly bring you live time for what she's doing. Just a minute left in this session now, and only her and John Peters have a lap to go. Oh, actually, Danny Kloss does. My apologies. So they're going to run that one tight. Well, it looks like Danny Kloss is about to set off on his lap as well. So as Christina comes back to the final smart marks, the final corner, that dramatic coastline of Dubrovnik in the background. What about this one now, Shelley, as we come to the line?
I'm going to say it isn't better, but maybe the clock will prove me wrong.
As we come across, we haven't got anything registering from boat, so I can't exactly tell you whether that's going to be an improved time or not.
Hasn't changed on the live standings
No.
there, so I think actually that 1:13 was her best one. Here's Aoki. Great graphics now. We can actually see the line of the course that they should be taking, so that's really helpful for everyone watching at home.
Takes the right-hander through the third turn as John Peters just sets off just along. I think he just got it before the flag was thrown for the end of the session for John Peters.
That was tight.
It was very tight, yeah, so hopefully it was in time. As Danny Kloss, we go through that final corner. Has been a couple of fast sectors now for Danny, and it's going to be close as he comes to the line now, and it is the fastest lap of this session from Danny Kloss right at the end there. Fist pump as well from the Spaniard, and the team up in mission control.
Let's go.
He knows he's nailed that one.
But he has got John Peters behind him, so did John Peters cross that line in time? That is my question.
I'm not sure, because his first sector that's come up on our timing screens looks out of it. So he's coming towards the final corner now. Oof. See all the water as he dug in that left wing, all washed over the front of his cockpit. Now on the throttle towards the finish line now for Team Blue Rising. Yeah, he did miss it. He did not get there in time, Shelley, so that lap doesn't count. Bit of brinkmanship there from John Peters, trying to wait to the last possible moment to set his lap, but it wasn't to be.
No, I wonder, there might be a chat from him in his mission control there.
So, fourth place for John Peters in Team Blue Rising. It's Team Aoki, top of the standings at the end of that qualifying time trial. And let's see if we can speak to Danny. Danny, excellent lap right at the end there, left it till late, a 1:12.4. How pleased are you that you've got the most out of the race bird in that time trial? Danny, I hope you can hear us. How pleased are you there with that lap, a 1:12.4? You feel like you've got everything out of the race bird? It looks like we're not able to speak to the Aoki Racing pilot down there, unfortunately, but I think I'm going to answer for him, Shelley. He'll have been well happy with that, with a 1:12.4.
It would have been well happy, but he actually looks very cool, calm and collected there, and not hugely elated, but I guess he's just thinking, well, I've done my job, that was that.
That's about 1.3 seconds quicker than he went in free practice earlier today. So if you're improving every time you're out on the water, then you're delivering for your team.
He should be elated.
Just look at the boats. The race birds now heading back towards the harbour, back to the launch zone. This is the opposite direction.
That's Team Drogba coming out, I believe, for the next session.
Yeah, getting ready for the next session. Is it for was it Team Brazil, actually? It looks like it could well be Timmy Hansen. He's getting a run on everyone, sussing out the conditions for our Group 2A time trial. There you can see the Aoki boat heading back in. So as we get ready for the second time trial, hopefully we'll be able to speak to one of the boats down there. The temperatures inside those cockpits perhaps playing havoc at the moment. And let's see if we can speak to John Peters of Team Blue Rising. Hey John, hopefully we can grab you before you get out of the cockpit. Just missing out on being able to put that last lap in there. Talk to us about that time trial, please.
Or not.
Maybe not. Maybe didn't want to. Yeah, you can probably see he's already unclipped. He's already chucked his gloves in. Thought it was a personal slight, that one, on that occasion. Possibly unhappy. He's not that kind of character though, is he, John Peters?
No, but that was a poor mistake. You know, for a team with mission control and yourself, you know, did they send him out too late?
Or was it one of those trying to wait for that right moment, trying to wait for it and just trying to push it to the limit, and it wasn't to be for John Peters. So as he exits the cockpit, instantly wanting to get everything out of his race suit. There's Anna Glennon, frustrated at the moment, I think. Just see in the background Team Drogba and Oban Duncan heading out onto the water. So Anna clocking a 1:21. Going to have to hope for a bit of a miracle from Eric Stark to give them options in the qualifying races. Let's head back to the launch zone. Hopefully Taylor will be able to catch up where I wasn't able to with John Peters.
Down in the launch zone, John has made his way back. You missed a lap, but you were showing a lot of speed in that first sector there. What was that time trial like?
You know, you say I missed a lap. What's that all about? Did I really? I don't think I did. So I'm going to miss information there. You know, I had a really good first lap. It felt really good. And as the water gets rougher, our speeds just go down. There's some long ebb to flow out there, so the waves are very, very long, and if you fall down into them, which we have, it's tough to get back out of it. So some of these guys have just done a fabulous job. I think I was okay, halfway solid, but we'll see how it goes.
All right, excellent work. Any advice for your teammate going in next?
Go faster than me. I like that. Yeah, we can do that.
All right, excellent. Thank you, John.
So John Peters there after our first time trial. Now we get ready for our second time trial for the A pilots. We've got Team Brazil, Marcelo Clare's team, Team Brady for Tom Brady, with Sam Coleman inside the cockpit. Team Drogba, I do actually believe it's Micah Wilkinson who's heading out onto the water. And for Will Smith's team Westbrook Racing, Sarah Price should be out in the red boat. Nice day for a spot of sunshine on the beach. Nice day to get inside an E1 Racebird. So these are the four boats we will have for this 15-minute session. Again, just like in the previous session, 3 attempts at a hot lap, and it's going to be Timmy Hansen, Sam Coleman, Micah Wilkinson and Sarah Price for Marcelo Clare's team Brazil, Didier Drogba's team Drogba, Tom Brady's team and Will Smith's Westbrook Racing. So as we look down at our course, which is already challenging, it's not necessarily the layout, it's the water. And that's what it sounded like from John Peters when we spoke to him a moment ago about the ebb and flow of the water. Danny Kloss, though, seems to take it in his stride as he set his fastest lap of the day.
Well, Danny, you have found the speed out there. It seemed for a second that Chris was holding that top spot, but then you pulled it out. What changed out there to really find that top spot?
I think I put everything together. You know, at the beginning I did a very good first lap. Second lap I struggled. Then I saw Chris doing a very, very fast lap. She nailed it, and I was like, okay, boy, this is gonna be tough. You know, she's very fast. She showed it in every race. In Qatar, she won, and she's a hard bone. But at the end, I put everything together, and it came out with a good lap. So I'm very, very happy.
So like you said out there, you saw her pull it out. Does it really bring out the competitive spirit when you see somebody else in front of you find that clean line? What does it do to you watching your competitors?
Well, at the end, it makes you like, to me, it makes me calm down even more, you know, try to focus even more, realize which mistakes I did my best lap, and, you know, because we have a little bit of time to like process everything, and when we go, like everything goes. There's the tunnel, and we go through it.
Excellent. You're round 3, we're here. How much are you enjoying the season so far?
Right now, this is I'm enjoying, to be honest. Saudi was mega with the win at home with my teammates and all the family. Qatar was mega, P2. Here, we're fast, so that's good, but we're going session by session. This is something that I've learned through the years, that you can be up and then get too much confidence and then boom, something happens. So I try to keep myself in a neutral state of mind, and yeah, let's go for the next one.
Excellent. I saw you before the race. You were kind of relaxing, feet crossed, listening to some music. I know you always have your headphones. What do you listen to?
I listen to different things. I am quite curious and open-minded, so I have like vibes to bring me up, but not too up, you know, to bring me in the nice position. Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got our race jams coming up.
Yes, for sure.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Thanks.
So Danny Kloss, fastest in the first time trial with a 1:12, going over a second quicker than he did in free practice earlier today. And earlier today, we were able to speak from the cockpit with Westbrook Racing's Sarah Price. This is what she had to say earlier this morning. Let's have a listen to what Sarah had to say to us earlier today after the free practice session.
I think we're just having fun as a team. We're trying to learn this thing. We haven't had the best luck with our boat the last few races, so we haven't had data to be collected. So now we are collecting data and we're starting to actually learn where we should be with settings.
But the conditions are quite different in this course, and everyone seems to be struggling, but you're not. What are you doing?
Right on the race bird.
Yeah, she's not worried about it being too bumpy out there. A 4-time Dakar stage winner herself. Sarah on 2 and 4 wheels. Very, very accomplished motorsports athlete. But it hasn't been easy, has it, for Will Smith's Westbrook Racing this year? They qualified last in both Jeddah and Doha, but both times came back to make it to the final. 4th place in the opening 2 rounds. But they've had technical gremlins, and it's cost them a little bit of running time. And it sounded like that's what was most important for Sarah and Lucas this morning. They just got some time out on the water.
I think they'll be the team to watch this weekend, because if they have solved all those gremlins, the 2 of them are very strong. And I think we haven't seen them at their full potential yet.
Yeah, well, let's hope that is the case. We love a turnaround story, don't we? Someone fighting back from the depths. So, while we get waiting for the start of this session, a couple of minutes away now, let's hear from Team Alula by LeBron James. Let's hear from Rusty Wyatt down with Taylor.
Rusty Wyatt, you just came off those time trials there. I think you found about 3 seconds going from one lap to the other. What changed to get that speed?
Yeah, you know, we only get so much time in these boats, and you know, the strategy is so hard to nail. So the first lap, I definitely wasn't happy with it, and I thought about it while we were sitting down there to start the second lap, and I'm just glad we were kind of able to come up with a solution and pick off those 3 seconds, like you say. Quite happy with it. I know there's the Rafa and that the Aoki boat. They're hard to catch this weekend, so we're within fighting distance. I think we're going to be right there for sure. We got a race coming up, so we'll find out there.
You're definitely competitive out there. We were just speaking a minute ago. The heat is on right now, competition, but also temperature-wise. How do you stay cool? Do you just ignore it in the boat?
Yeah, we train for this for sure. I do a lot of sauning and whatnot to keep my body temperature relevant. So, yeah, it's the heat's on out there for sure, but it's turning on with that sunshine. It's nice to be coming from Canada and feeling that sunshine, but it's definitely a bit of a shake-up. Well, the boys over here, they got a bit of an ice system here for us this weekend, so we're testing that out and quite happy with it.
Excellent. Well, you're staying cool. Best of luck heading into next.
Thanks, Taylor.
Yeah, thanks to Rusty. Good to hear that, though, isn't it? That things are looking more positive for Team Alula, because they are new team for this year, presented by LeBron James, and so, you know, it takes a little bit of time, isn't it, to get things rolling, to get things working with the race birds. We're just being told actually that the race birds out in the water are being brought back to the marina. There's obviously some kind of issue out there.
I can hear a ferry sign in the back. Maybe we've got a big ferry going out that's going to disturb the water.
But as I say, Team Alula 7th place in both of the opening rounds, sit 8th in the championship. So not an easy start, but it takes a little bit of time. Catie's got a full season's experience, of course, underneath her belt. But Rusty's a seriously quick powerboat pilot himself.
It really does take. I think the team has to gel, the actual people of the team, and I would say that usually takes 2 to 3 races minimum. And then, yes, Rusty's got to learn how to pilot the race bird. And as we've said so many times before, this isn't normal powerboat racing. You are driving a powerboat and then you're flying it on foils at the same time. It's a really tricky job. It's like the whole sailing world on foils and powerboat racing all mixed together. And there's a lot going on for these guys.
So the race birds heading back to the marina. As soon as we have any information, we'll let you know. But we just got the message from race direction, all boats to return to the launch zone.
Very annoying for these guys. They've got themselves all worked up, the adrenaline is pumping, they're ready, they've got themselves in the zone, and then bang, turn around, go back. It's exhausting, this feeling, because now your whole adrenaline is just gone, ugh, why? And you've just used up a whole big bag of energy, which you need, because this is a long weekend. They have very intense sessions to go through.
Right, let's head back to the launch zone and let's hear what Eric Stark from Team Miami has to say down there to Taylor.
Down here with Eric Stark, you had your teammate go out. You're up next. What have you learned from Anna?
Yeah, that we have a lot of things to do, but you know, sometimes it's not easy and conditions are difficult out there. I haven't spoke with her yet. I'm gonna see her now, and then yeah, I'm gonna try to make the best I can do.
The water is a bit rough out there. How do you stay calm and focus on keeping that race bird straight?
Yeah, it is, and you know, it's a lot of pleasure boat and big yachts going around. So sometimes, you know, big rollers coming in. So it's really difficult, you know, to plan your lap. You need to have a little bit luck, and you know, when you have the lap, you really need to make it. So yeah, it's tricky, and you know, but I'm normally quite calm, so I hope I can do something good out there.
Excellent. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Eric himself vastly experienced in these kinds of situations. Cool customer. So we understand, Shelley, that they've had to come back to check communication channels basically to the pilots out on the water, and more than anything, rather than us being able to speak to them, but more than anything, it's for safety, isn't it?
Yeah, we've obviously got a few communication problems going on. I would imagine that the great big brick wall we see there, the old buildings, that's probably not helping radio communications, VHF signals going back and forwards. But yes, safety is very important and paramount, especially in this marina. We've noticed the traffic going in and out. All of the pilots are saying that the traffic is hard to deal with. They've got to pick the right lap.
Say, like, fuck is 2-minute warning.
Sam not looking happy there.
Yeah, so apologies there if we caught a little bit of that onboard radio from Sam Coleman there. Just wanting a little bit of warning, I think, more than anything before heading out. But probably didn't know that he was live to air at that moment in time.
Yeah, I'll slap his wrist later.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you can see, Micah Wilkinson has decided sitting outside the cockpit's a little bit cooler. Still got all the equipment on.
Yeah, you can see very clearly there the blue, the bright blue we're looking at is his life jacket. That's a life vest. And that will be thick padding all around his core body there, which is, I mean, you might as well be wrapped in a duvet. So that's, and they're very warm, and they actually really restrict your movement as well, but it saves lives.
Talking about sailing before, Micah, of course, an Olympic bronze medalist himself in the sailing world. And I wonder if we might be able to speak to Micah now that he's just stepped out of the race bird up there onto the pontoon. It's going to be a chance to have a word. Yep, I do believe we can hear from Micah down there with Taylor in the launch zone.
Micah, we're out here in Croatia, and what a scene it is. How beautiful is it out there on the water?
It's absolutely unbelievable. I don't know how they made this event happen, but it's simply gorgeous, and we're really enjoying racing out there.
And this is your second race weekend, if I'm correct. What is it like entering this new sport?
Yeah, second race weekend. Doha was a first, so very fresh still. It's very exciting. These boats are incredible pieces of technology, and it's just a pleasure to be able to have a crack in one and really enjoying it.
And how about your teammate? How is it like working with somebody, kind of learning that new sport together and getting that feedback instead of having to do it all on your own?
I'm pretty lucky with my teammate. She's a bit of a weapon. Obviously an amazing powerboater, so she's really good at teaching me the ropes. I've done a lot more foiling than her, so she's obviously vastly more experienced at powerboating, but I've got a little bit of foiling aspect to bring, so I think we're going to make a good team. We just need a bit of time.
That's what it's all about, time, patience, and being out there on the water. What about being in Croatia here with the fans and the vibes? New location for everybody.
I can't believe it. It's my first time to Croatia, and we're racing powerboats in the old town in Dubrovnik. It's very special.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Micah.
Thanks.
Yeah, talking about there, Oban Duncan, his young fiery Scot, isn't she, Oban? She has got bagfuls of character, as you can see Micah does too. But that's a good pairing, isn't it? Someone like Micah from the sailing world, Oban from the powerboat world. Even at 19, she's got experience.
She's got huge amounts of experience. I've been watching Oban race since she was about 8 years old. But yeah, he's just said exactly what I was saying. This is literally the sailing foiling world. Here we have a beautiful sailing pleasure boat going across our screen now, and a nice super yacht in the background, very nice. But it's the sailing foiling world and the powerboat world brought together, so those two should be dynamic.
Yeah, and it will just take some time, as you said, to get there, but it's great to hear them bouncing off each other. She's a weapon. I love that. Clip that one up. That's a great comment, isn't it, about Oban. Just past 2 p.m. local time in Croatia. Temperatures fairly steady, 28 steamy temperatures out there. And we're just waiting for a bit more information when we can get those boats back out on the water. Ice cream time, probably, if you've been in one of those boats, I would have thought. About that time of the day, isn't it?
Or a nice dip in that water, which looks just so inviting.
Really does indeed. You can see just the umbrellas at the back of your picture. That was the launch zone just underneath the old town. So we're keeping Taylor on her toes anyway down there in the launch zone. She's headed down to LeBron James, Team Alula and Catie Munnings now.
Catie, we're down here on the launch zone right in front of your boat, Team Alula. What is it like out there on the water? I've spoken to a couple of your competitors. Seems a little rough.
Very rough, yeah. I think I've only really driven it in the rough so far, so my practice this morning was pretty choppy. So that's a good thing to have known the conditions a bit. I think some of the sessions this morning were really clear water, but to be honest with you, it's just about getting a lap without any wash from the traffic of like the tourist boats here, I guess. If you can have a clear lap, you're like 5 seconds up on everyone else. So it's so important that your spotters are keeping an eye on what's going on outside of the race course.
And I spoke with Rusty earlier. He actually found those 3 seconds of speed somewhere in there. What is it like for you? How do you find speed out there going from lap to lap?
Yeah, it's tough. There's not so much that you can do with the waves, so it's about finding clear water. It's a little bit of luck in that. Obviously, we've got a great team of engineers that work hard on it, and we can overlay the data between each pilot session by session. So that's really important for us. As soon as we jump out the boat, we're on the computers. But to be honest with you, you have to be really flexible in these conditions. With the waves, there's only so much you can do.
Now tell me about the fun side. Obviously, data is a really important part of it, but how fun is it in there to be in there learning that different? It's a different boat technique than power boats. How much fun are you having?
It's really cool, yeah. I mean, we keep looking up and seeing the scenery here. It's so beautiful to race here in Croatia. Yeah, you just have to keep reminding yourself of that when you get into it, because you can be on your laptop and then suddenly you look up and you think, actually, we're very lucky. This is pretty cool to get to race here.
Excellent. Very lucky indeed, and I wish you best of luck in your next time in the boat.
Thank you very much.
And it's cool to have Catie involved, of course, successful herself in the world of rally, extreme and on TV herself. So this is the scene at the launch zone while we wait for the race birds to head out onto the water. You can see Micah Wilkinson with his top off, so he's not expected to be out there anytime soon. Let's have a look, a recap at the best of the action that we saw in our first qualifying time trial, the Group 1A boats.
Go. Let's go. Vamos. Go. Let's go. Vamos. Go. Let's go.
Har du den där typ politiserien?
Ja.
I will do in one of them. Okay, vamos. You know what you have to do? Allez.
Welcome back to Dubrovnik, round 3 of the E1 World Championship 2025, presented by PIF, and we are ready to go with our time trials for Group 2 and the A pilots from Team Brazil. So Timmy Hansen is in the cockpit, Team Didier Drogba, and it's the Kiwi Micah Wilkinson who is out there for Team Brady. Sam Coleman is in the hot seat, and for Will Smith's Westbrook Racing, it's Sarah Price who's giving it a go in this Group 2A, should I say, qualifying time trial. The backdrop of the beautiful town of Dubrovnik here on the Adriatic coast. Absolutely stunning conditions as we get ready for this next session, Shelley. Just looking at the wind speed we've got here, up to 20 kilometres per hour, so that's a little bit higher than it was earlier today, but again, from here, conditions look okay, don't they?
It looks okay, but it's not really the wind that's the problem, it's actually the water turbulence in this area. Some of the pleasure boats are really like displacing the water, and the ferries. It's proving quite tricky for all the pilots.
There you can see the 4 pilots getting ready to go. You see them all on board with them as we get ready for the start of this qualifying time trial. Of course, this is the E1 Dubrovnik GP presented by Adriatic Luxury Hotels, and you can see what a glorious setting we've got for this next 15 minutes of action. A reminder that they each get a chance to set 3 hot laps during this next 15 minutes, so 3 hot laps, and you've got to choose your right moment, as we saw, Shelley, in that first time trial. A couple of people just chose the wrong moment, got in the wake, and even the swell from some of these bigger boats that are around. It looks like actually Timmy Hansen is going early for Team Brazil, and the clock has started, so this one should be okay.
Yep, he's taken a good line there. He's got out there first, so he's got no other race bird to mess his water up for him, but as we've said, there's a lot of traffic out there.
We just saw there, he just hit one of the bigger waves. That was something they said, if you just can't control it, there's nothing you can do. If you hit one of the higher waves and you drop down behind it, then that can mess up your whole lap. That first sector, a decent one to start, 16.7 through that first sector. About high 15s were the best that we saw in the first time trial from the likes of Aoki Racing's Danny Kloss.
Yeah, he's just going around there, around the right-handers, so the yellow marks you take to the right of the race bird, and all the red marks you take to the left, and then obviously we've got the checkered marks there you see, which is the start-finish line. Yeah, that's the top of your picture there, and it just looks like Sarah Price might be about to set off in the red Westbrook Racing race bird. Here we go then, through the final corner. Hopefully not too much wake. If you can just tuck to the inside, yeah, should be okay. That would be something, wouldn't it, if someone had just set off? Nice boost round that corner, but he's got none left for the finish line. He ran out there.
Yeah, 1:17.5 though. That's a decent first marker set down by Timmy Hansen. What we saw, didn't we, in the first session, Shelley, was everyone improved as the session got on, got used to the conditions that were out there, had almost an installation lap to start, and then steadily got quicker.
Well, as always in any kind of boat racing, the conditions are changing all the time. That is not a tarmac track, it is a water track, and every single time you go out there, it's different. The waves are different, the swell is different, the traffic is different. And that's what the skill is all about with these race birds, is to fly it across that ever-changing track.
Well, that was an excellent second sector there. That's the best I've seen, I think, from anyone today, from Sarah Price. She used that boost out of the final corner, but you see now, has no boost to bring her to the line. So while it was competitive up to the final sequence of smart marks, as she comes to the line, Sarah Price didn't have enough boost remaining, probably, and this is surmising, used it in that second sector to get that, you know, fastest sector through there. Of a 24 she did in that second sector.
Yeah, I would save my boost to the last sector, so you could basically use it round that last corner and across the line, because it's when you're literally counting the seconds, isn't it?
Team Drogba and Micah Wilkinson out on the water, coming up to that final sector now. Yeah, if you can use the boost. We've seen people use the boost in the corners, haven't we, to make sure it gets up on the foils and helps you turn it a little bit, and then crack on the boost out of here. Again, a decent second sector in there from Micah Wilkinson, but this looks much steadier, doesn't it? Oh, out that final corner, a little bit of porpoising, but as he powers to the line for Micah, 121.25 from Micah Wilkinson across the line.
He looked a bit unstable. We weren't sort of really flying smoothly there in Team Drogba. Is he going again, or is he?
Yeah, I've got a feeling he'll just round the second set of smart marks and then wind it back. 119 earlier today, Micah. Got a big hits there. It's caught him a little bit unawares. On board with the Kiwi for Didier Drogba's squad.
He's not doing another one, he's going to go back. I was wondering whether he was just trying to get into that zone, and I always like to do one practice one and then go again, because yes, the conditions are going to change, but not hugely.
Sam Coleman started this season, Team Brady, with 2 fifth places. They were fastest actually on the qualifying day back in Jeddah, but it didn't quite work out, and just as it didn't in Doha, they actually scrambled through to get through to the final, but unfortunately things didn't work out for them in the final over there in Doha. So 2 fifths to start the season for the reigning champions, but let's not forget 3 times Grand Prix winners last year, Sam Coleman and Emma Kimiläinen. It's on board with the experienced powerboater Coleman for Tom Brady's squad. The trim much more level than we've seen on perhaps some of the other boats. So as Sam rounded, it wasn't the greatest of first sectors, but coming back into it in sector 2, as you can see. So underneath Timmy Hansen's time through sector 2. Full throttle around there. Whoa. Just caught his inside wing there to bring him round. Now what has he got in terms of the boost to head towards the finish line now?
It's so obvious that the trim is so different to when we were in Doha. Everyone is really quite trimmed in.
118.8, the first benchmark set by Sam Coleman. Steady start, but when we had earlier on, we had Danny Kloss clocked a 112.4. There is margin there.
Yeah, I would say this group really need to up their game a little bit. They're really quite behind that first group, but maybe the conditions have changed.
Yeah, good first sector, really good first sector from Timmy Hansen. Second sector dropped off, but again, all depends on where he's used the boost. What we saw last time from Timmy is he got it about right out of the final corner, and it just dropped before the line. So what's he got on this occasion? There you can see his boost recharging, so he should have enough. He gets on it now to drag him out of the final corner.
Oh, but yes, I think he's done that well, actually.
Let's have a see when he comes to the line now. Timing has gone through 117.3, so that is an improvement, a slight improvement from Timmy Hansen. That puts him into 5th on the combined standings.
He still didn't have enough boost just to get him across that finish line, though, did he?
No. So that was his second attempt there for Timmy Hansen. Rallycross, so much success in that over the years, and in Extreme E2 for the Swede. It looks like Micah Wilkinson has readied himself to go again. We're about the halfway point of this session, 7.5 minutes gone, 7.5 to go, and Micah Wilkinson crosses the start line now, gets up on the foil. That's his experience from the world of sailing. Just drops now as he heads down towards turn 1. First split. Okay, that's not too bad as a first sector there. 17.6 through that first sector. Did go a little bit quicker on his first attempt. Heading back now towards the shoreline. The right turn at turn 3 on the boost through here. Heading towards the final sequence of smart marks. 121.2 he clocked on his first effort. You see his boost recharging now. For every second you use the boost, it takes 2 seconds to regenerate and recharge. You can see now it's going to drop off before he gets to the finish line. So the clock just seems to tick that much slower, doesn't it, when you get towards it. And he clocks a 120.6 on this occasion. So he has improved, but still a bit more margin for the New Zealander.
Yeah, it was sector 2 where he seemed to lose a lot of time. Just got it a little bit unstable.
Timmy Hansen it is who is quickest in this session with a 117.3, 1.5 quicker than Sam Coleman in second. And here we go with Tom Brady's man. Out of the milling zone and about to get going again here in Dubrovnik. Got that flying beautifully across the line there. And then just he heads to turn 1. Slight drop of the hull into the water, but not too bad for Sam Coleman as he heads out towards Lochran Island. Tell me there's a botanical garden up there on that island, bit of a nature reserve up there.
Oh, it looks lovely.
I'm sure it would be.
Nice and smooth. Oh, dipped the wing there, a little bit of wash over the windscreen. He wouldn't have wanted that. He wants to glide it round the corner and keep it smooth on those foils without scrubbing the speed. He's on the boost.
Yeah, he did a really good second sector there, actually. Did Sam Coleman, brought him right back into it. Both those personal bests. And now he's going to have some boost left here as he comes towards the final corner, dips his left wing in. That will pull him back round here. And now he gets on the boost out of the final corner, getting the drive up on the foils. Not quite there. I wouldn't say that was necessarily perfect, but this is the best I think we've seen in this session so far as Sam Coleman knocks 3 seconds off his time from before, puts them third on combined times there. That was a good finish to the lap from Sam Coleman, and it just feels like working out where the boost best serves you is part of the key to getting a fast lap here.
It's so technical in the race, Bird. You've got so much going on, as we've said before. You are on a track that's changing. You're on the foils. You've got the boost to contend with. And it's so important to get that boost right, as we're seeing here. It's running out just before that start-finish line. Emma Kimmelainen looked quite pleased with him.
Yeah, the Finn and the Welshman. Out from near Tembe is Sam Coleman.
It's definitely the best time we've got this session.
Yeah, so 115.0 from Sam. Timmy Hansen a 117.3, so 2.3 seconds gap there. Sarah Price has only done 1 run so far. We saw the Westbrook Racing were looking on. I wonder what they're going to say. There's only 2 minutes. She's going to have to do 2 back-to-back here. I wonder if there's a problem. They have had some problems over the first 2 rounds of the championship, but it looks like we're about to go, are we? With Sarah, well, she's still sat there. Not sure, because Timmy Hansen's going for his 3rd hot lap here. So when is Sarah Price going to get with only 2 minutes 30 left on the clock? She needs to do them back to back, and it looks like a little bit of frustration down there.
Well, this is the performance coach here, Steve Curtis, for the Westbrook Racing team. So let's hope she hasn't got a problem.
Yeah, you can still see top of your picture. I'm looking out for the red race bird of Will Smith's Westbrook Racing, and I can't see any movement from it. Timmy Hansen through the first sector there. not his best section so far, but I just wonder if he's just adjusting where he's using the boost, having run out with it. Yeah, you can see there's a lot less use of the boost on this occasion. He's going to use a little bit more to bring him towards the final corners now, and now he's giving himself a lot of boost remaining, coming up towards the final corners, flying it nicely in there. So he's got full boost and he's just going to get on it through the corners. This could be a better finish to the lap now for the Swede as he rounds that final smart mark to the line for Timmy Hansen. Has he judged it better on this occasion? Trying to make it work. Yes, he improves by another second there, Timmy Hansen. And that gives him a 1:16.0 across the line. However, only good enough for 6th place on combined times.
Well, at least they're listening to us, Gavin. They're taking our technique.
It is, though, when you're out on the water, trying to find that moment of how much boost to use and when to use it. We're ticking away here, and I think we must have a problem for the Westbrook Racing boat. Steve Curtis there looks a little frustrated. Sam Coleman's going again with his final run. Micah Wilkinson will have to go fairly soon, but not want to go too close to the back of Sam Coleman's boat. So Sam sets off. Sarah Price, unfortunately, she's out in the distance, and I can't see any movement from her race bird. So I think there must have been yet another problem, unfortunately, for Westbrook Racing. Good first sector there from Sam Coleman on this occasion. Around the second smart mark. And now Micah Wilkinson, 5 seconds to go. Is he going to get across the line in time here? I'm not sure he's going to manage it. The clock has finished, and I believe that Micah has not crossed the start-finish line. So whether again a problem with communication down there. Yeah, he just crosses now. That's not going to be enough for Micah Wilkinson. I've got a feeling that he might have missed out. So as we go on board with Micah, I'm just keeping an eye on Sam Coleman, who's going personal best first sector, personal best second sector, and now through the final corner. Has a little bit of boost by the looks of things from Sam Coleman. Is it cometh the hour, cometh the man here as Sam Coleman comes to the line? Any improvement, a 1:14.94. It is another improvement. 3 good laps there, built every time, and that puts Sam Coleman there in 3rd on combined times from the first sector. And as it stands, there's him, Emma Kimilainen, watching on from the launch zone, but really built his way into that session. Wasn't the greatest last sector on that occasion for him. However, a 1:14.9, his best lap.
But what has happened to Westbrook Racing and Drogba?
Yeah. Well, Micah Wilkinson obviously missed. I don't know whether that's a communication error. He's still finishing off his lap, but unfortunately it's not going to be enough, I'm afraid. This one isn't going to count. We don't even have it on our timing screens to be able to tell you whether or not it would have been quicker. I just missed out crossing the line there, so whether there is some issue with the communication or with the dash, with the timing scorers for him, but they just missed out. And that's for Westbrook, none the wiser as to what's gone on there. In theory, we are going to get the B pilots out there for the other pilots and we get average times, but with the early delays, just have to see how the schedule is going to shape up. Lucas Ordóñez frustrated, and there's been frustration from Lucas, from Sarah, a lot already at the start of this season. Right, let's see if we can have a word with Team Brady.
Problems, man.
Hopefully we're able to speak to Sam Coleman down there in the Team Brady boat. Really built up in that session. Sam, how are the conditions? How do you find it there in that time trial?
Yeah, hey guys. I hope you can hear me because I've also got my team principal in my radio. It definitely chopped up a lot out here, and trying to get some clear water was really, really tough being a 15-minute session, you know. Happy with the 2 laps that I had that was semi-clean, but I still feel like we left some on the table. So, yeah, a bit of an improvement, but massively compromised session with shorter time and the swell coming up.
Cheers for talking to us, Sam. Appreciate it. That's Sam Coleman there from inside the cockpit. And what did we say? That obviously had to wait a little while to get back out there, and conditions clearly a lot more tricky than for the first time trial, perhaps.
Yes, we've gone into obviously the afternoon over there now. There's probably more traffic come out, more people have come out in their pleasure boats, and they are battling with it here. It seems to be the biggest problem here. Well, not the biggest problem, it's a challenge. It's a challenge for them to overcome.
Like that.
How do they overcome the rougher conditions with the traffic going back and forwards? It's very hard to predict. You just don't know who's going to be there on your lap. But Sam's very used to rough water racing, so if anyone can do it, he should have done it.
There is Sarah Price in Will Smith's Westbrook Racing Racebird, and well, we're none the wiser as to what's going on there. Let's see if we can speak to another one of the Racebirds out there. Timmy Hansen down for Team Brazil. Timmy, hopefully you can hear us down there in the cockpit. Just how are conditions? Looks like it's got a little tougher as the afternoon's gone on.
I think it was decent conditions, but not the best. Unfortunately, in my best lap in the end there, I think that the conditions were getting better, but I just hit the big swell immediately starting the lap, so that was a bit unfortunate. Other than that, I think we felt really good. I think we got a strong boat here. We can do well tomorrow. Not my best qualifying, I wouldn't say, but not the worst. So yeah, we're definitely in fighting position. I'm happy with this, and now I'm handing over to Marit. I know she's super pumped.
And just in terms of using the boost button, we saw you changing your strategy throughout those 3 laps. How easy or hard is it to get a grip on that?
It's all right. I think the lap times were just getting faster and faster throughout the session. The driving's honestly is pretty similar, but those water conditions just gives you or takes away lap time completely out of your control. So I think I had, 3 good laps. Actually, my worst, unfortunately, the worst lap I did was the one that was quickest. But yeah, that's how racing goes sometimes. I think we are feeling good, so I'm excited to go head-to-head racing. That's what we're here for, and that's where we usually, get our best results. So I love that. Qualifying race this afternoon is going to be fun.
We look forward to it. Thanks, Timmy. Yeah, great job there. As he said, his worst lap was his fastest lap, the one he didn't quite put together, which just shows that's got to be frustrating, hasn't it? But he's not too far off. If you look at his time, 3.6 seconds, sounds, a fair margin. But once you get racing, if everyone else in that race is going to have the same conditions as you, so if you feel, he actually said decent feeling out there, then it's a different story once you go racing.
And his team, him and Marit, are both, as he said, very strong, pumped racers. They will fire, and fight to the bitter end when they're actually out there on the race course. It's so different when you're racing out there all on your own on a nice qualifying lap. It's totally different ball game when you get out there with other boats all around you and you're fighting the waves and your other teams.
So Timmy Hansen exits the Team Brazil Racebird, and straight away conversation with Marit Strommoy. Just the day for a fireproof balaclava, isn't it? Just what you want. 28.8 degrees is what we're getting back.
Now you can see here Timmy, just so I can explain to everyone at home, his life jacket is built into his overalls. So he hasn't got a separate life jacket on the top as the other one did. His are all built into his overalls, so he's got some, hot overalls on there, fireproof built-in life jacket. And yeah, taking it off now because he feels like he's boiling in a bag.
How's your Norwegian-Swedish crossover? Yeah, I can't really understand, basically, is my point. Right, as we see the two Team Brazil pilots discuss things, and tactics, and how things felt out on the water, hopefully we can get a run on what's happened with Will Smith's Westbrook Racing. Sarah Price only getting in one hot lap, and Taylor hopefully is able to speak to her.
I'm down here with Sarah Price on the docks. It sounds like we're a little frustrated. This is racing, but this is just time trial. So this is when things can go wrong. It sounded like you have a few technical difficulties out there.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's been a curse for us a little bit lately for sure. And we just had, one of the main cables that communicates the steering wheel and everything to the race bird just come undone. And so we missed a lot of the session as well, and it's just a rough one. But qualifying means a lot here, and so Lucas has a lot of work to do, that's for sure. So hopefully he can do it.
That's what it's all about, but staying calm and collected in the water when things like that happen are really important, and you're a seasoned racer, so you know how to get that done out there.
Yeah, for sure, but we're passionate, we care, and so, you know, it's very frustrating, that's for sure. You just want to have a clean run, and it's like the little things and the dumb things that sometimes get you, and that's what's happening.
Absolutely. Going away from the negative portions of it, we're in this incredible, beautiful city. How has it been so far outside of the boat?
It's been amazing. This is an amazing location and great people, and I think our team's really enjoying being here, and yeah, we want to make a good impact so we can come back here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah, I think more than anything they're putting a brave face on the frustration, don't you think, Shelley? Because again, as we saw back in Doha, as we saw in Jeddah, there were problems, weren't they, on day one? But on both occasions, Sarah and Lucas brought it back, and from qualifying last both times up to fourth place. So they've got to come back in them.
Yes, we see her sit down now. She was shaking her head. She was very despondent. Look at her. She's hugely despondent. She was putting on a very polite, brave face in that interview to Taylor. The two of them are just like... The thing is it puts so much pressure on this team now. They've got to really fight back and prove themselves.
I know Will Smith this weekend, he was there, wasn't he, in Doha, watching on and loving what he was seeing from his team. The comeback story was excellent throughout the weekend. So they are the results at the end of the second time trial. That's Group 2A for the A pilots, and at 1:14.9 from Sam Coleman in the Team Brady Racebird puts them inside the top 5 as things stand. But a reminder, it's an average time between both the male and the female pilots. So we've got our B pilots, second group, will be going out very soon indeed. So we're back live here now at the E1 Dubrovnik GP, presented by Adriatic Luxury Hotels. Virat Kohli's Blue Rising, represented by Sara Mizir, Team Rafa as Tom Shap in the Racebird, Team Miami with Eric Stark, Team Alula with Catie Munnings, and Steve Aoki's Aoki Racing and Michelle Alobaidan. And we are just got a green flag here in Croatia as we get ready for our Group 1B qualifying time trials, and it's going to be Michelle Alobaidan on the water first of all for Aoki Racing. Now they are top of the standings after the A pilots, with Danny Klotz clocking a 1:12.4 as the ferry goes off in the background by the sounds of things, but away she goes around the first corner, Shelley. And the way Danny performed has laid a lot down there for Michelle, but a half-decent lap time and not sit them pretty heading towards the qualifying race later.
Yes, and at the moment I think she's actually doing a lovely job there. She looks very smooth. She's up on the foils, taking that right-hander around the yellow marks, saving her, oh no, a little bit of boost.
Boost to drag her out of that turn 3, and now on the regen for the boost. Is she going to have enough to finish off this lap up towards the final corner? You can see at the back of the picture that Sara Mizir was setting up a big leap into the final corner now, and now it should get a little bit of boost as she comes out here to drag her to the line.
But is it enough?
It's a decent lap this is going to be, though. She comes to the line. If you're just thinking on combines, 1:17 is competitive, you know, and that puts them on a 1:14.9 on combined times. So that's a really solid starter. So that's the first team having both of their pilots having completed a hot lap in qualifying. Out on the water, Sara Mizir. Earlier, Blue Rising clocked to 1:15.5 with John Peters. What's Sara got for us as she rounds the final smart mark? Remember, she took a podium in her debut race at the opening round in Jeddah. A brilliant performance on that occasion. Comes to the line now, and I tell you what, that's 1:21.0. Not a bad start for Sara. As you can see, it puts her provisionally in second place, but a 1:18 on combined. She'll hope for a little bit more than that. John Peters talking her through, it looks like, Shelley, in mission control.
Yes, I think they would have wanted a slightly better time there, but it was a good start. She's got 2 more laps. She's setting herself up. So on the average,
3.2 seconds down on Aoki Racing. She'll head back to the milling zone now as Tom Shap for the championship leaders, Team Rafa. Amazingly, even though he pulled them through a couple of races last time, didn't win any back in Doha, whereas Christina won all of her races. So the gauntlet being laid down for Tom Shap, and an excellent first sector from him. Look at the concentration on his face as he heads out towards the island.
No blinking, just fixed and pure sort of like vision in front of him.
Excellent bit of boost there. You see how much more boost he's got now in his locker. He rounds turn 3. I reckon a little bit of boost perhaps, yeah, just to get the Racebird up onto the foils. Just dropping off a couple of times, and now heads towards the final corner, but should have enough as he comes round the third of the smart marks and make up this final corner. Now he's on the boost to try and bring him back towards the line. He's going to run out of it though before he gets to the finish line. The clock ticking away. A reminder, Chris Lasaraga clocked at 1:13.1. This is going to be really competitive on combined, and it takes them top by 100th of a second. Wow. 11 thousandths between Team Rafa and Aoki Racing. Just 3 points between them in the championship. And it looks like another head-to-head on our hands here.
Yeah, that was an excellent lap, and between the two of them, they have flown that race bird very, very nicely. The boost is so difficult because if you use too much boost, it can actually sort of unbalance the race bird, and it actually can slow you down. And then we know if the boost runs out and the bird just drops, again, that it's quite difficult to handle at that point.
Catie Munnings here in LeBron James Team Alula race bird, and she comes to the line. Rusty Wyatt earlier clocked to 1:15.4, and on combines just outside of Blue Rising. So currently in 4th place. Only 4 out of the 9 race birds have both pilots to have clocked a fast lap. Here's Team Miami. Anna Glennon was a 1:21.9 earlier. What's Eric Stark got for us here? Slower second sector. I wonder if there's some boost left for Eric. So he comes round the final smart mark. Yeah, should have enough boost to get him to the finish line here. Powering along. It suddenly drops off, but a bit of a recovery there from Eric Stark. 1:19.5. In terms of combines, that puts them 5th out of the 5. Mission control for Team Miami. Watching on. I'll hope for a little bit more, but as Anna said earlier, she did apologise, didn't she? It just hadn't quite worked out for her. Eric Stark does have a tall order to bring them up the order and to try and get into that qualifying race, the first qualifying race, or at least the chance to pick up points. That's going to be tough. So Sarah Mizzier here, around the first couple of smart marks on the boost, out of there. First sector, yeah, just off a little bit through there, 18.9 through there. So we have had people in Tom Shap did a 16, so already a couple of seconds down. The boost around turn 2.
High trim, she was right up there at 1.1, which is the most we've seen from any of them. Because of the conditions, a lot of them have sort of been more down at the level trim, but hers is high. Is it helping her or not? It looks okay, but
better second section, definitely, compared to sector 1. So 2.5 off. Has she got some boost though,
left
to bring her to the line? Looks like we're flying here. On board Virat Kohli's Team Blue Rising boat, and that's going to be a competitive lap time, a 1:18, and on combines that puts them right in the mix, right in with a chance of being in that first qualifying race.
Yeah, up to 3rd place there. That's a pretty good run.
1.8 behind Team Rafa. Michelle Alubadan currently sitting now in second spot by 11 thousandths of a second. She made up a lot of time in the second sector, but as she comes around the final smart mark, the boost has gone. Oh, you heard her there, huge leap out of the water. Now,
she just fell off those foils and
but goes through.
Speed, but
she might have lost some speed, but Danny Kloss was so quick earlier that lap from Michelle has put them back in the driving seat.
Now, it was interesting because she was using her boost all the way round and not at the end, and I actually think that paid off for them.
One thing I did say, she had a little bit of boost left across the line. You probably want to make sure that boost is at 0 by the time you've crossed the line. It's got to be so hard to judge that, though. So, Aoki take over from Team Rafa once more. 0.6 the gap between them. Cam, Tom Shap close that gap again. Can he go back to top? So on the boost straight away to get some pace to start off his lap. Remember, they get 3 goes at it, and this is second attempt.
This will be so interesting. It is literally like back and forth between Aoki and Rafa. Who can do it?
I love what he did there. He didn't try and turn at the first smart mark. He went past it, and then it was almost the handbrake turn, as we would call it, dip the wing in, to get the straighter line out towards turn 2.
Different technique. Let's see if it works.
There you can see off the boost. So he's using the boost a bit more out of the corners to get the Racebird up, to get it turned.
Yeah, he's using them to glide him round the corners, where the corners are where you lose all the speed, let's face it. And he's actually using the boost. Now is he going to use it as he goes round here, or is he going to...
second smart mark, there you see,
push,
what he did on the last time around. So goes past the final smart mark now. There you see, still got a little bit of boost. This is going to be really competitive, going to put them very, very close to Aoki Racing as he comes to the line. Conditions definitely tougher than they were earlier, and in doing so, well, closes the gap, and now it's 200s between Rafa and Aoki, but Aoki on top. This is tense stuff, really good to see. Bear in mind, Tom Shap earlier today clocked a 1 minute 11, and his best in this session, a 1 minute 15.5, just shows, I think, how conditions have changed from the free practice sessions earlier today. Eric Stark, meanwhile, has got it flying as he comes to the line now. Oh, big, it's a huge wave, didn't he? Just he came to the line. He did improve his time, though. A 1:18 from him, but on combines, that gives Team Miami a 1:20.2. Eight minutes still to go, and 4 of the 5 boats have completed 2 hot laps. So they've only got 1 remaining. Catie Munnings will be next to go, it looks like, for Team Alula.
Yep, here she is. No one's going to miss their laps in this one. I think they've all learned not to push that clock to the limit, otherwise you're going to miss it, guys.
Right, there you can see. Off-road racer plays the flute. Let's hope she can get a tune out of her Racebird now as we set off on this second of 3 hot laps on the boost across the line. That in itself is a judgment call, and that looked like a really nice fly down towards turn 1 for Catie. Again, the boost to bring her out of the corner, heading out towards Lochran Island, out towards turn 2. A little bit more boost, heading up to the corner. There'll be a little bit of boost then to get her up onto the foil. At the bottom of your screen, Sarah Mizir heading off for her 3rd and final lap.
See, now Catie prefers to sort of boost in the straights as opposed to the corners. She likes to, she's boosting now. Before she has a different technique.
Let's see now, where is she gonna get on the boost to try and time it just right across the finish line? Here we go, on the boost, past the final smart mark. What's this gonna be for Catie Munnings? Qualified well in Jeddah, but 2 7th places for the new team at the start of this year. That's a decent lap. That moves Team Alula ahead of Blue Rising. So that's an excellent lap from Catie Munnings. Her and Rusty Wyatt combining to put them 3rd, just 2 seconds now down on Aoki Racing. Can Sarah Mizir respond? She's got a lot of boost left here. Full recharge boost to the final corner. Here we go then. How's this going to fare? John Peters, see, giving her a little bit of a tip. Here we go, she's on the boost through that final corner. Off it now, and here we go again.
Now this is different. They were boost off.
Maybe trying a little bit of a different technique. It hasn't worked, because that was a slower lap from Sarah on this occasion. So Sarah, 2:18.1, her best in this session. That one was 1:18, my apologies. That was 1 minute 20, so a couple of seconds down on where she had been, but that's her third and final lap. So Team Blue Rising are above Alula, having sat provisionally in the top 5. That's going to be tough to hang on to. Don't forget, we still have our B pilots for Brady, Brazil, Westbrook Racing and Team Drogba still to come. 4 Racebirds sit in the milling zone. So important, Shelley, in E1, isn't it, that both your pilots are on song. It can't just be that one pilot's strong. Both the male and the female pilots both have to perform. In, for example, for Team Rafa, it was Chris Lasaraga doing a lot of the heavy lifting last time out in Doha. But it's important, isn't it, that both parts contribute. Because of this, we're dealing with average times here.
Yeah, they have to absolutely race in unison, and that's why often it's the other pilot talking to the pilot that's driving. They're actually talking to each other, so they're kind of driving it together, albeit one's on the controls.
Interesting this, that just in terms of the boost that Team Rafa have got at the start of this, I'm not sure whether that's right or not. It looks like Tom Shap is on the boost. Yeah, he's got full boost. I'm going to say, coming to the line now with the full boost. And then you just want to hit it. You want to be at your full speed as you cross the start-finish line. Taking that angle, as you can see, and then he'll just get it turned so he gets a nice straight drive out towards the island. Under through the first split. Team Rafa, I will remind you, are 200ths of a second behind Aoki Racing on combined times.
Pressure is on. He's saving his boost as he comes around the corner, taking the yellow smart marks.
I think he's found more time in that second sector as well from Tom Shap. This is going to be a really good lap. So this is best through the first couple of sectors. And now he's saved a little bit of boost just to drag him through here. So he's used a lot of boost early on in this lap. He's going to run out of it before he gets to the finish line here. But is it enough for Tom Shap as he heads to the finish line now and goes across the line? That was a 1 minute 12. That's the best lap of this second session, his third and final one, and it's brought Team Rafa right to the top of the standings. And he is furiously happy with that, as you can see.
That was excellent. A completely different technique again. He didn't use his boost at the end, but as I said earlier, sometimes the boost, because when the boost comes off, the bird wants to drop into the water, that can actually lose you speed. So he wasn't actually using the boost to get that good time, which was really interesting.
Through the final corner now for Eric Stark on it, trying to drag to the line. What's this one going to be for the Iceman as he crosses? No improvement on this occasion. So Team Miami, I think it feels like a setup thing, doesn't it, for both Eric Stark and Anna Glennon. You know, bearing in mind, you know, we're dealing with a team that won a Grand Prix last year. They are no slouches, but just at the start of this year, it's just ever so slightly off.
Certainly not the pilots, because they come with vast experience, those two. It's just, I think you're right, it's some sort of setup problem. They just haven't got it dialed in this year as they want it to be.
Right, we've had a really good session so far between Marcelo Lobaidan and Tom Shap in the Aoki and Rafa boats. And now Michelle goes out on her final hot lap here, and a really good first sector, best of anyone through the first sector. However, look at the boost, look how she's draining it out in this first part of the course, heading out towards turn 2, gets it turned nicely through there. Now where does she employ the boost? You can see the time just going away from her, as at the bottom of your screens Catie Munnings is going to squeeze in her third and final lap, so everyone is going to get their full complement, unlike in the other 2 previous time trials we've had.
Good timing there with Catie Munnings. She had 30 seconds left as she crossed the line.
So she's heading out towards turn 1 as Mashallah Lobadan for Aoki Racing heading to the final turn now. They drops the wing into the water for this left-hander, and she's got a little bit of boost, but still not at the final smart mark. Here we go then, up on the foils. Look how much chop there is out there. Difficult conditions. Is this going to bring them any closer? And again, so we've seen this on a couple of her runs to the line. Use that boost at the end there, and unfortunately on that occasion there was no improvement. Really good first sector, but used a lot of the boost early on in that lap, just not enough to bring her to the line. However, on combines, 1 second the gap between Aoki and Rafa. I think we've got a race on our hands.
We certainly have. Ulula's doing good. She's not using any of her boost. All coming out. See, they're all using the boost out at the end there, unlike Tom, who didn't use it and got an amazing time of 1:12.
That looked like a good run actually from Catie Munnings. That was an excellent lap in the end, a 1:16.2, and on combines that improves things. That's superb from Catie, and actually dovetailing nicely with Rusty Wyatt. Very, very similar lap times between the pair of them, and that puts them in contention this weekend, I have to say.
Nice to see them up there in the top 3.
So that brings an end to our 1B qualifying time trial. First 5 boats have both pilots across, and it's Team Rafa topping the standings. A combined 1 minute 12.9 just shows that both pilots have been on it there. Second, as things stand for Team Aoki, 1.3 seconds behind. Alula in third, 2.8 behind. Team Blue Rising in fourth, 3.8 behind, and Team Miami at the back there. Depending on what happens in our 2B time trials, looks like they'll be going in qualifying race 2. Here is Team Rafa then, Tom Shap doing the business. Let's see if we can speak to Tom down there as he heads back to the launch zone. Tom, congratulations there. You did a 1:12.7. Chris, before a 1:13.1. You are top by the looks of things heading through to the qualifying race. How happy are you with the performance of your boat?
Yeah, I'm super happy about the quali now. It's done. This condition with this water was really good, but the team make an incredible job compared to the first station. So yeah, I'm so happy. Now we get a really good 2 laps, and we will see if we get the pole. So yes, vamos!
Congratulations, Tom. Congratulations to Team Rafa doing the business again, and as championship leaders, that's what you've got to do, haven't you? Turn the screw while you're on top.
They are consistently just romping through this at the moment. They're definitely the ones who are going to have the target on their back. Everyone wants to beat them now.
No doubt about it. I have to say Aoki Racing though are not too far behind, 1.3 the gap. Look, it could change now with Team Brady if Emma Kimilainen can perform miracles here. She'd have to find the best lap of the day to take that top spot in the qualifying race. However, can still get in that first qualifying race with a good performance here from Emma. So as they head back to the launch zone now, still one more time trial to come before we go with our qualifying races here in Dubrovnik. Combined times of our Group 1A and 1B, and it puts Team Rafa on top, with Chris Lasaraga and Tom Shap dovetailing superbly for top spot. Danny Kloss and Michelle Olobadan first and second for them as well, and they go second on combined. Rusty Wyatt and Catie Munnings both third in their sessions, and so they sit third on the combines. It's all going to form at the moment. Blue Rising fourth and Team Miami in fifth. So we have had our Group A and B from our Group 1 time trials. Time for our final group to get out there. The 2B pilots. Tom Shap, look how happy he is to have done the business. Slotting in perfectly with Christina Lasaraga. Has put them top for the time being with just 4 race birds still to go. And it would take something special actually to dislodge them from top spot heading into the qualifying race later on this afternoon. These are the 4 race birds still to go. We've got Marit Strommoy in Team Brazil. For Didier Drogba squad, Oban Duncan will be out on the water. Emma Kymäläinen for Tom Brady's team. And Will Smith's Westbrook Racing. It'll be Lucas Ordóñez. Hopefully has better fortune than his teammate Sarah Price did earlier on in her time trial. We'll be pleased to know though they are all out on the water. They've got a 15-minute session here as the reminder with 4 race birds in it. And again, in that 15 minutes they have to find 3 clear hot laps. It looks like Marit Strommoy has taken the bull by the horn, so to speak. She's in a prime spot, ready to get going when that clock ticks down to 0. Top left, Emma Kymäläinen. Top right is Lucas Ordóñez. Bottom left, Oban Duncan. And bottom right, Marit Strommoy. Vastly experienced powerboat racer and singer. We'll point that out as well, because she has got many, many strings to her bow, has Marit. Popular figure back home in Norway. Right, here we go. It looks like Marit's already going to go. She's going to try and cross the line as soon as that clock ticks to 0. There she is, up on the foils, ready to go. And we're already into the action, Shelley, right at the start of this session.
Yeah, she, as a powerboat racer, she'll be like, I'm going first. I want the clean water. As clean as it can be on this course, because you can pick clean water and then woe me down, there'll be a nice wash from a ferry or pleasure boat going by. And there is the ferry in perfect time.
Yeah, you can almost see, can't you, that little swell that's now coming across towards her as she heads out towards turn 2, out towards Lockman Island. Just off the boost now. She dips in her left wing into the water. On the boost to get up on the foils, coming out of turn 2. What a sight it is from on board inside the cockpit. Team Brazil looking at that Adriatic coastline. Glorious place to have a World Championship event.
They certainly have a nice view out of their cockpits, these pilots. But there she goes. Right, she's saving the boost. She's coming round. Is she gonna? She's gonna use it to the line, just like everyone else has been.
There she comes out of that final corner now. To the line on the boost. You know, Timmy Hansen did improve, didn't he, every single time he was out in that race bird before. Boost has just run out, but she comes to the line now. And on combined times, what is that? It hasn't quite come up on our timing screen just yet.
It was a 1:18 I saw on.
Yeah, 1:18. I'm just thinking in combines with Team Brazil. We'll have a look in a second. 1:17, that in my calculation, that'll bring them up to 5th place. So as it stands, it puts them into qualifying race 1 at the expense of Team Miami already.
Lucas is flying to the finish line.
Really good lap this compared. However, as he comes to the line there, a 1:16.6, that's really, really competitive. Unfortunately, Sarah Price only managed to get 1 lap in, so she clocked a 2:19, didn't she, previously? So on combines, brings them a bit higher up the order.
But it's good to see that the boat's all mended and the race bird is flying again.
So it puts them into 6th. As things stand on the combined times. Still waiting for a first hot lap from Emma Kymäläinen and Oban Duncan. It looks like the Finn in the Team Brady boat, the reigning world champion, is setting off on her first hot lap of this time trial. 12 minutes still to go. And away she goes. All take it in turns at the moment. Cleanest water that you can find out there. Again, we talk about dovetailing, we talk about the pilots complementing each other, and that's exactly what Kymäläinen and Coleman did in the first season of E1, didn't they? When they, of course, took the championship, took 3 race wins. Hasn't clicked yet so far from the season, but you just feel there's a lot of class for both pilots in Team Brady's boat.
Yes, they do work very closely together, and they make a fabulous team. And I know Sam will be talking to Emma as we are going round here, watching trim and boost and the RPMs for her, and just guiding her around.
And it's a decent lap already, 2 seconds under Lucas Ordóñez time. But the question now is, on the boost, how much has she got left? Has a little bit there to bring her out. A lot of wash coming over the cockpit as she came out of that final corner. You can see the red and white checkered smart mark to finish off. This is going to be an excellent lap, you know, from Emma Kymäläinen as she comes to the line. A 1:13. Wow, that puts Brady into second place. What do we say about the pilots complementing each other? That is excellent from the Finn.
That is superb. She had that last corner, she really dug it in. She absolutely dropped the foil into the corner and cut it really, really nice, and it paid off.
So now Oban Duncan out on the water. The final team for both pilots to have completed a lap. No boost at this moment in time. Is she able to get on it to drag her to the line? Yeah, has a little bit to pick up and get onto the foils coming out, but a 1:21, not enough at the moment for Oban Duncan. On combined times, that puts them bottom of the pile as things stand. Look, the tongue out in concentration there from the teenager. And there'll be a conversation going on with mission control. Right, what went wrong, what went right, how can we improve? We've got 2 more goes at it.
But Emma Kymäläinen put in that was dynamic, that lap there. She really rescued Team Brady.
Yeah, well, they are definitely going to be going through, I would say, now to the qualifying race 1. As you can see, left-hand side of your screens, qualifying race 1, 3 points to be picked up if you win that qualifying race and take pole position. 2 points for second, 3 for third. 1 for third, should I say, in that qualifying race later. Here comes Marit Strommoy as it stands in 6th, but there is margin there, isn't there, for Marit to get ahead of Team Blue Rising on the boost to bring her out of turn 1. If she can back up what Timmy Hansen did before. He said it was his worst lap that was his best lap earlier, unfortunately.
Yes, worst lap, but best time.
Yeah. Let's see if Marit, she just bounces over a wave into turn 3. Looks like Lucas Ordóñez is setting off on another lap as we head to the final sequence of smart marks for Team Brazil and Marit Strommoy. She's going to have some boost to get her through this final corner. Personal best through the second sector, but I'm not sure this is going to see much of an improvement from her. It was 1:18 last time that she clocked. Yeah, I think her first lap was better by 0.4 of a second. Back to the drawing board for the vastly experienced Norwegian. Meanwhile, Lucas Ordóñez in the first sector or 2 was off, but again, how much boost has he got left? Variety of tactics of where you use that boost button. Remind you, you've got 20 seconds of boost that you can employ, but if you use 10 seconds, it takes you 20 seconds to regenerate. Here he goes on the boost, out of the final corner. So expect a better last section. Fighting with it though, as soon as he gets like this, Racebird gets so unstable, doesn't it? And as he comes to the line now, Lucas Ordóñez, yeah, 1:18 He's a second and a half behind where he was in his first go.
It's so delicate. You've got to be so... well, as I've said to you before, Gavin, it's like putting a marble in the middle of a tray, balancing it in the middle of a tray. You are literally teetering on those foils from back to front and just trimming it and keeping it flying all the time.
Yeah, we talk about the tactics on the boost, but then we've got the tactics with the lift, we've got the tactics with the trim, and all these things going on inside that cockpit, and you've got that in your hands.
Literally in your hands. Everything is controlled from that steering wheel.
Paddles, buttons. As he heads to the milling zone now. Only Team Brady from this group have made it through into qualifying race 1. Can anyone improve? Can Ordonez find something? Can Marit Strommoy find something for Team Brazil? What's Oban Duncan got? She's only done 1 lap in this session, and the clock is ticking as she goes again for the young Scot. Got it flying beautifully across the line there. As we've talked about already today, Shelley, that looks like a decent enough run down towards turn 1. You know, actually there where she dropped the hull in, it probably was just helping her get turned.
Yeah, she just drops that foil in and gives her a nice tight grip turn. As we've said before, if you go too high on the boost, it actually is detrimental to you. You want to be just off the water, just so we've got clean air underneath the hull, so the bird is just flying above. But go too high, it just drops and you lose speed.
Out towards the 3rd set of smart marks on your right hand side as you come through turn 3. You can see in the background Emma Kymäläinen setting off on her 2nd hot lap. Yeah, Oban's off on this lap, unfortunately, so tough going for Team Drogba.
Too much hull in the water all the time. We're not up on those foils.
Not quite finding the balance as she gets on the boost to drag her to the finish line now. Yeah, 1:22 on this occasion. It was a 21.7 on her first effort. Back to the drawing board for Drogba. As it stands, they're going in qualifying race 2. Emma Kymäläinen had a best of anyone in the first sector, but it's just dropped off in sector 2. Just drifting away from her a little bit here.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be as good as that last lap, which was an absolute storming lap.
Yeah, 1:13.3 that she managed. Compare that to a 1:14.9 from Sam Coleman. And it's Emma who's had the upper hand. No improvement on this occasion from Team Brady. On board, inside the cockpit for Emma Kymäläinen. Just got a shot of Joe Sturdy and Ben King in mission control there. Who are the ones who'll be feeding the information to Emma as Lucas Ordonez. This is his final effort here now, Shelley, and he needs to find a couple of seconds if he wants any chance of getting through in qualifying race 1. He stands obviously a second behind on combined times though, that's the key ingredient there. And let's not forget poor old Sarah Price, when she was in the race bird earlier for Will Smith's team, only got 1 flying lap, unfortunately. Problem with a cable, as she told us, as at the bottom of your screens, Oban Duncan looks set to go. 2.5 minutes to go in this session, so that'll be Oban's last effort. This looks...
That looks smooth.
Nicely, yeah.
Oh, I spoke too soon.
Yeah, Suddenly the gap was at 0.2 and then suddenly it goes out to 1.8 and just dropping. You have a moment or two with the hull in the water and it kills your momentum.
Scrubs your speed, kills your momentum, throws you off balance, throws the bird off balance.
So as Lucas Ordóñez comes to the line, are they going to get through to qualifying race 1? No improvement. It was a better lap actually from Lucas Ordóñez, but on combined times they stay in qualifying race 2 and they haven't made it through to that qualifying race 1 yet this season, and they're not going to do it again this weekend. However, there's still a chance to turn things round. So important we say that, just early days. Oof, lot of wash over the top of Oban Duncan's Racebird. Through the final corner now for Oban Duncan. She's on the boost. It's just not flying at the moment, is it? Balance just doesn't look quite right as she comes to the line, and the Scot does improve her best time of the session, but on combines that puts Team Drogba at the back of the field.
And she looks herself, she looks like she's struggling and she's hot. That's not our usual Oban, who's usually so cool and calm, sat there. She's just fighting the Racebird all the time at the moment.
Yeah, there was a puff of the lips there, wasn't there, from the young Scot at the end. Still waiting for a final lap to come in from Emma Kymäläinen and from Marit Strommoy. There's only 28 seconds left on the clock, so Emma's just crossed the finish line now. Is Marit going to get another go here? So through turn 1 for Emma Kymäläinen, heading out towards Lochran, has confirmed a place now with those two boats having come across the line, is confirmed to be in qualifying race 1. Yeah,
another one's missed the timing.
Just missed from Marit Strommoy at the end there. That's got to be frustrating for Team Brazil. They're just watching as they come across the line there. You saw Jeff Zoltman down in mission control, just missing out on it. As Emma Kymäläinen, meanwhile, fastest in this session. She isn't going to be bettered, and this really is just to get a little bit of feel ahead of the qualifying race later, where they will start in second place alongside Team Rafa and inside Aoki Racing.
They'll be pleased with that position.
To the line now. It's not going to be an improvement for Emma Kymäläinen. At the back you can see that Marit Strommoy is out on the course, but unfortunately the lap will not count, and that will put Marit and Timmy Hansen in the Team Brazil boat, will put them into qualifying race 2. But job done for Team Brady. Smiles down there in mission control from Joe and Ben. Job done. Marit Strommoy, the Norwegian, comes to the line now, and unfortunately that final lap did not count. 6th combined. You missed out there, Marit, by 0.03 of a second on going through to qualifying race 1. So tight. But not to be for Team Brazil today. Did qualify so well back in Doha, and then things went wrong when the Racebird broke ahead of the finals. Let's see if we're able to speak to Marit at the end of that. So hopefully Marit can hear us down in Team Brazil boat, just missing out on that final lap there, and actually missing out by 0.03 of a second. How were the conditions though? Because it looked bouncy out there.
Yeah, it's very, very bouncy. It's coming and going all the time.
How are you feeling setup wise, Marit? Do you feel you've got what you need? I think Yeah, I think Marit's on to the team actually already in race control. So briefly got to speak to her, but obviously wants to debrief as quickly as she can with everyone up in mission control, because there's still things to be gained. If you can win that qualifying race later, then you could put yourself through, you know, in a good spot for the Group 2 races later on in the weekend, and you can still make the final from wherever position you are. Even Team Drogba at the back of the field, Shelley, they still can get into the final if they have a good qualifying race, if they have then a good race when we go into our group stages on Saturday.
Going round the course completely on your own in clean water and no one fighting you for every corner, it's a completely different ball game and perspective when you're actually fighting it with other race birds around you. Everything changes, to be honest, and it's all down to the pilots. And as we've seen so many times before, this is just day one. Everything can change so quickly.
Yeah, as we said, the opening 2 rounds, Westbrook Racing were 9th after day 1 and then made it to 4th at the end of the weekends. You can turn things around. Even Team Rafa, qualified 8th for the opener in Jeddah, finished on the podium, and now they lead the championship. Combined times then from Sam Coleman and Emma Kimilainen. Put them top in combines on that group 2, but puts them 2nd overall, which is an excellent return. Team Brazil just unfortunate to miss out there. Marit unable to get that final lap in. A similar story really for Lucas Ordóñez, isn't it, that Sarah Price only got 1 lap during her time trial. And Drogba, it feels like they've just got some setup to work on. So Brady go through to qualifying race 1, the other 3 teams in qualifying race 2.